How much should I save for retirement? I've heard 10, 15, 20, 25%. Which is it? Half of Americans aren't even saving for retirement. The half that are, the majority are worried they won't have enough. So the point of this video is to put you at ease, help you understand how much you could save for retirement in order to replace your income, your current income amount. I'm Thomas Cook, a certified financial planner and an enrolled agent for the IRS. I founded a wealth management firm, Retired to Teleco. So with that, let's dive in to answering the question, how much should I save for retirement? Now, it's no wonder that there's confusion out there because you've probably heard a lot of different numbers floating around, right? If you've read David Chilton's The Wealthy Barber, then you've read 10% is what you should be setting aside for retirement. If you follow Dave Ramsey, then you've heard 15% is what you should set aside. And if you listen to the Money Guys, then you've heard 25%. There's another common rule out there, the 50-30-20 rule, which is saying 20% of your income should go towards retirement savings. So then again, I ask you, well, which is it? 10, 15, 20, 25%? My favorite answer in financial planning, it depends, right? And I think the biggest factor, well, at least for this video, is when do you want to retire? It's obvious the more you save, the more money you'll have in retirement and the sooner you can retire. So there's definitely nuance here, but in order to answer this question and give you some guidelines, I had to make some assumptions. So I'm assuming everyone's starting from zero. I'm assuming that we are trying to replace your net income, and I'm defining net income by whatever you're not saving. So if you are saving 10%, then your net income would be 90%. And so, how long would you have to save 10% of your income in order to replace 90% of what you've been living off of? The study is not taking into account taxes, because you'll have taxes before retirement and after retirement. It's not taking into account Social Security, which could actually make this better for you because that could supplement some of your income in retirement. But just from a pure standpoint, if I'm not saving the money, it's being spent. How much money do I need to save in order to one day step away from work and continue the same lifestyle with my money alone, right? That's kind of what that's the study that I set up, that I looked at. A few other assumptions I needed in order to do these calculations. I assumed that you could earn a 7% rate of return on your investments, and I assumed that you'll need to have a future balance big enough that you could take out the 4% safe withdrawal rate in order to maintain your current standard of living, replace your income. So those are all the assumptions I made. All right, so now let's dive into it. I have a chart for you with this all mapped out from as little as 5% savings to as much as 50% savings. But before I show you that chart, let's talk about this. At a minimum, you need to be maximizing your employer match. If you're not, you're leaving free money on the table, right? Some will say they can't afford to save anything for retirement. Well, if you have an employer match, I'm telling you, you can't afford not to save anything for retirement, because you actually have more money by getting the employer match than if you didn't save anything. Every employer match, every 401k can be a little different, but in general, this is how it works. If you put in $1 into your retirement account, they match $1 or 50 cents a quarter, whatever it is, up to a certain percentage of your income. So again, at a minimum, you should be doing that. But then the question is, well, is that enough? Well, it depends how much your employer match is and how much you're putting in and when do you want to retire and all those other variables. But let's just say it was 5%. So if you're only saving 5% of your income, how long would you have to work in order to get a large enough portfolio to sustain the 95% of your income you're currently living off of? And the answer is 52 years. So if you start at age 20 and you want to retire at age 72, then maybe that's enough. Now, I would argue most of us don't start at age 20 and most of us want to retire before age 72. And so we're looking at a shorter working career than 52 years. I mean, let's face it, the average life expectancy for a male is age 75, right? So I would guess that most of us don't want to work or die at our desk, but we want to have a period of time of autonomy and independence and security, doing what we want to do, being able to walk away from a bad job that you don't like, or being able to go on the vacations or the travel that you want, or spend the time with the people who you enjoy. Anyways, moving along the chart, if you're saving 10% of your income, it will take you 42 years for that 10% to grow to a large enough balance to replace the other 90% of your money that you're currently living off of, right? So 42 years. So if you start age 20, you're looking at 62. It's good. It's better than not saving, right? So in some regard, I think if you start right out of college and you're the traditional 65 retirement, that's probably okay. again, a lot of us don't start it right out of college, and we want to retire before Medicare. So, okay, let's keep moving down the chart. So Dave Ramsey's advice, 15%. Well, if you save 15% of your income, it only takes you 35 years in order to build a balance high enough to sustain the other 85% of your income that you're currently living off of. So 35 years, that's pretty good. So let's say you started at age 30. Well, now that gets you to Medicare age 65, and your Social Security calculation is based off your top 35 years of income. So if you only ever work 35 years, well, at least you don't have any zeros in that calculation. So 15%, I think that's good. If you can do 15%, do it. That's great. All right, moving along the chart, 20%. It takes you 31 years. And moving along the chart, 25%. What the money guys suggest, it would take you only 27 years in order to get to a point where your portfolio is large enough to replace the other 75% of your money you're currently living on. You can see on the chart that I ran these numbers all the way to 50%. If you've ever heard of FIRE, the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early, there are some people that are saving 50% of their income. Now, I would argue that that is an extreme. And yes, you will have more money in the future and could retire sooner. But here's the thing. Are you sacrificing precious time today for a desired future state that has uncertainty around it, right? What will your health look like then? Like, are you missing out on precious life memories today for that? So I guess I'm not an advocate for extreme behavior. I think a more balanced approach, like it's prudent to plan for the future, but I think it's wise to appreciate today. Being able to find that balance of what's helping you maximize life today. You want to make sure that you have margin to invest into your health and your relationships, into hobbies that make life meaningful, right? So anyways, in my opinion, time is more valuable than money, because when you lose time, you can't get it back. Kind of a no-brainer. The sooner you start saving for retirement, the less you have to save from a percentage standpoint. Also, the more you save towards retirement, the less time you have to work in order to replace your income. So definitely, this is why I said, no-brainer. I think it's obvious. The earlier and the more that you can save, the better. But then again, with that FIRE movement, taking all things into consideration and finding balance, and not being too extreme. Sacrificing too much today for your future self. At the very beginning of the video, I explained that most people have the opposite problem, right? Most people disregard their future self as a totally different person and don't do anything to set them up in a better position. Also, these are just basic guidelines. Again, if you saw this and you're a little discouraged, well, take a deep breath. Remember, I wasn't factoring in Social Security, which is going to help you. If you're watching this video, you're probably more financially savvy than the people who aren't saving for retirement. So I would imagine that you're not starting from zero. Some expenses, like what if you have a mortgage right now and your home is paid off in retirement? Well, that's an expense you're not going to have. So you may not need to replace as much income in retirement. Though I will say, if you have more time because you're not working, you'll probably find a way to spend that money, whether it's consumption or travel. But again, yeah, just know that every situation is a little nuanced. If you have questions and want to dive deeper to know exactly what you need to be saving for your lifestyle and your goals, I would recommend reaching out to a fee-only financial planner, NAPFA, the National Association of Personal Financial Advisors. I think that's the best place to look for a fee-only advisor. Thank you for making it to this part of the video. If you want to stay informed with weekly tax tips and market commentary and any other content I'm creating, you can visit my website, retiredtoteleco.com, and sign up for my email newsletter there. If you have questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you again. You're awesome.